Hi everyone, good morning and welcome for today's session. So yesterday we were discussing about types of conclusion. We started with types of conclusion and I discussed two types with all of you. So we discussed about the two types. First and foremost, I discussed that the all types of introduction so all types of introduction can be used as conclusion, right? Then second, I also discussed about like the conclusion can be based upon, okay, so the conclusion can be based upon fine. So the conclusion can be based upon uh, we can consider larger than life values, time tested principles. Third, we can reflect upon the conclusion can be connected to the conclusion can be connected to the, we can say, to the key theme of the introduction to bring spherical completion, to bring spherical completion. Okay, and then fourth, we can speak about something more, and here what we can speak about is when we are talking about types of conclusion, the conclusion can be in contrast with, the conclusion can be in contrast with the introduction. Okay, so like let us say introduction, and here if I say conclusion, in introduction I can consider it is something which is based on let us consider uh, it is based on something like realism, and conclusion is based on idealism. Introduction is something like diagnostic, and conclusion is prescriptive. Prescriptive. Introduction is, let us consider, based on, let's consider something like uh, based on like past oriented and let us consider conclusion is future oriented. Fine, that's how we can consider. Now let me substantiate each one of them as we are going ahead with this. So yesterday I had to substantiate this a little bit and I'll just come up. In a previous class, you had suggested to prepare some wholesome and engaging introduction about some topics like education, democracy, justice. If you suggest some more topics, it will be beneficial. The syllabus is the key, Anirvan. The syllabus is the key. Every single word that is mentioned in your syllabus, if you just prepared like the key explanations of those words, like just 10 sentences each, you're fighting it fit, because whatever questions will be asked in GS or essay, it will be around those words. If ethics is very well prepared, then you will see that you have an edge in like essay, because in ethics you get introduced to a multiple array of subjects. You get introduced to, I would say, philosophical concerns. You get introduced to, like, social concerns, to psychological concerns, to historical perspectives, to administrative concerns. And moreover, it encourages you to think deep. It's like slightly different from a lot of objective type, or we can say factual, or we can say like relatively more based on um, direct interpretation type of issues which are there associated with, I would say, history, geography, science and technology, disaster management, like all these different types of subjects that you have in your syllabus. They are relatively more direct, isn't it? But when you have to reflect upon ethics, values, like I would say morals, ideals, all those terms, emotional intelligence, though emotional intelligence is relatively more like objective rather than like very articulate, but still it is relatively, it gives you some food for thought to think and delve deep. So if you are preparing well every single subtopic which is there in ethics paper 4, and other than that, if you are being very very thorough with, I would say, the core topics which are there in your syllabus, words like secularism, diversity, words like justice, governance, okay. So if just the core words which have, I would say, some kind of loaded meaning and expression, so you can, if you prepare them, it will give you an edge or an advantage even in writing the GS answers, because when you're running short of content, you can always develop the content around the given possibility. You can always like create a lot of insights related to it. And suppose like you just have 3 points and you have like some beautiful 3 4 sentences, so you can, like, intermingle them, and the core points you can underline them, so that the answer on one side looks relevant, but at the same time it is making some universal generalized reflections. So rather than writing just 3 sentences, because 3 points, you'll be ending up writing 6 sentences. So content creation gets helped if you are creating a sentence bank, and sentence bank is associated with all the core areas or ideas which are there in your syllabus. So if you want, I can just, like, run through the syllabus and tell you which are the keywords. But like education, democracies, the principles of justice, like a development, words like these are kind of, I would say, keywords which directly or indirectly do get reflected in the topics. Words like empowerment. Okay, so keep thinking and keep working on that. That shall be helpful. Now, with respect to types of conclusion that we had started with, so first and foremost, when we are speaking of this given subsegment, that all types of introduction can work as types of conclusion, right? So in this given subsegment, what we can consider related to this is that when we speak of this given subsegment, we all can consider that like you can even conclude with a quotation. You can conclude with rewriting the definition. You can conclude with, like, let us consider raising a set of questions. Like, for example, you're writing something like yesterday only I was giving you the example of impact of globalization on vulnerable sections. So you can always end that. Now the question remains, will we be able to cater to the needs of the vulnerable sections in the phase of speedy development and globalization? Um, Despite multiple schemes and programs, will the lacunas get covered over the time period? Question mark. Who will be the key players, and will the process be decentralized? Question mark. And after raising 2 3 questions towards the end, um, you can just write down that the true answer shall unfold in the future with our meaningful efforts. Full stop. So you can even end with questions. Okay, a list of questions, because you have already given the efforts, the suggestions, the way forward, and then, like, you are giving a summation mark, and after that you are providing the set of questions, and with a set of questions also you can end. There can be also, because it should be like more like a thought provoking possibility, not like you don't know the answer. It should be like the question should be that you have already presented a meaningful articulation of what ought to be there in the future. You have already discussed that. Okay, something more which is needed is something that you are connecting with, and then you are creating the given possibility, right? So that's something which I can suggest. Furthermore, when we speak of it, you can other than the this given possibility, probably this all types of introduction can act as conclusion. I can connect it with this third one also. Like, do you remember that yesterday in the types of conclusion we discussed conversation, and in conversation I quoted that student Meena's suggestion related to development, whereby grandpa and grandma were having cups of tea, and while they were having cups of tea they were having a discussion over the morning newspaper. I hope all of you can recall that, right? So related to that given possibility, when we are reflecting upon the kind of interventions, the kind of breakthroughs that are needed, probably I can give you the correct suggestion regarding that. So when you are talking about, like, let's say, the types of introduction and the types of conclusion, and under that given subsegment, when we are reflecting further, we all can consider that when we are reflecting upon this, we all can consider that what greater possibilities are, like, required. So in this given subsegment, as I would be building upon the content, we all can reflect upon this given subsegment, that suppose the introduction, okay, has like been given related to grandpa and grandma's conversation. Grandpa saying that, look, what is the speedy rate of development, so many flyovers, malls, etc., etc., is being built. And, like, let us say grandma is like considering this given possibility, whereby she is like articulating, okay, the given dimension that development is not truly only about malls and flyovers. Real development will articulate when the young girls will fearlessly go to college, higher education is accessible to all. Like, let's say, the all the children who are educated shall also get qualitative employment. There should be no corruption in the society. It should be a fearless environment and secure environment even for senior citizens, right? All those interventions which I spoke of within a sentence or two of what grandma spoke. So after, like, opening that segment, the conversation, then you are opening other correlated subsegments, right? You're just opening the dimension, this and then this and then this and then the social, economic, political, like, vulnerable sections, technical, da 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 da. You're just going on. And after you have gone through all the given subsegments, then you can realize that towards the end, when you are like providing the conclusion, okay. So with respect to the conclusion, what I can suggest is that you can like merge the conclusion. You can just merge the conclusion with the introduction. And how? So you can just write something like that, like let's say you have provided the summative remark. After giving a summation remark whereby you're presenting the gist of the essay, then you are giving a, like, let us say, a conclusion, and after that you are giving a way forward, maybe with something, quotation, this and that, whatever. Towards the end, like you can just give this given possibility that towards then you can just connect it with what? So connect it with the first sentence, and then you can write on henceforth, when India shall be able to, or the world shall be able to, whatever is the reference, shall be able to experience the aspirations or the hope of grandma as she discussed it with grandpa over cups of tea, over the morning newspaper with cups of tea, comma, we shall be able to realize that India has truly developed and evolved. Full stop. So, like you started with grandpa grandma conversation, you opened all the segments, and towards the end, you just helped the examiner recall the conversation and say that what they truly aspired, if that is, like, if that is achieved, okay, then only we can consider that development has truly articulated. Okay, so I don't know why it just zoomed. Okay, so then only we can consider that development has truly articulated. Okay, so I hope you are understanding this third subsegment. When the conclusion is connected to the key theme of the introduction to bring spherical completion. Why spherical completion? Because from where you started, you opened a lot of dimension, and then you merged back to the given possibility. Right? So this is what you can consider when you are speaking of this. All right, I hope you're understanding this given subsegment. So these three subsegments, as you are understanding, we can further move ahead and we can reflect upon the fourth subsegment. Okay, so fourth se pehle second wala, ye to everyone knows, everyone understands this, because that's the standard protocol we all have been following, that towards the end we bring in the larger than life ideals, values, like some critical, meaningful, wholesome reflections, right? So it can be based upon larger than life values, time tested principles, core reflections. So that's what we all can consider, right? Then further ahead, when we are moving, we all can speak about this given possibility, that is the fourth concern, that is the conclusion can be in contrast with the introduction. Okay, so when I speak of this given subsegment, that the conclusion can be in contrast with the introduction, what do I imply? So in this given subsegment, the conclusion can be in contrast with the introduction. Okay, in this we can see if the introduction is based on some realistic facts. Okay, so in realism, what I imply to say is that some, like, let's say, current facts. Okay, so the future aspirations, okay, the idealism, we can say the time tested principles and values, the pragmatic means logical, achievable. Okay, pragmatic and time tested principles. Time tested principles. So that's something which can be associated with idealism. Okay, then we have the component of diagnostic. Diagnostic means when you are trying to reflect, when you are trying to search, when you are trying to find out a given solution. So that's diagnostic. Okay, when you try to search and find out. Okay, then comes the component of prescriptive. Please, ye PRE hai, theek hai, not this. So PRE, prescriptive. So prescriptive when you are offering solutions. Diagnostic when you are problem oriented. So this is like problem oriented. So suppose towards the introduction you are discussing about the rigors, challenges, maybe some examples, some facts, something like that. So it's diagnostic. So prescriptive will be solution oriented. Solution oriented. Right. This is what we can consider. Then again, introduction, suppose it is past oriented. So conclusion, it can be future oriented, right? That's how we all can balance the given possibility, right? So I hope you are understanding all the four types of introduction, all the four types of conclusion. But whoever is asking for sharing the PDFs after the class, I don't mind sharing the PDFs. This is generally shared, but please do remember one thing, which I continually say: whatever I write on the board, you should always note it down, because even if the PPT is shared with you, whatever I write down, that is not something that will reach to you. Because the moment we, the lecture is over, and suppose I close this board, this application, the moment I close it, this all written stuff is gone. That's why, if you remember yesterday, this slide of types of conclusion was blank white, and today also when I started writing, it was blank white. So whatever I note down on the board, that's why I request all of you that please keep noting it down. If you are noting it down, then only you are fighting it fit. All right. So I'll request that all the slides which I'm sharing, it should be shared with you. And I understand why, like in the initial 3 lectures slides, you did not ask for it, and today you are asking for it. The core concern, I understand, it is associated with the toppers, introductions and conclusions, which you are getting inspired by, right? So good, no worries. I understand that truly. Okay, now with respect to conclusion, so I showed you yesterday like Nupur Sharma's, Nupur Goyal's conclusion, right? So this one, if all of you remember, so she had picked the aim of 12th 5-year plan, and she concluded it by assimilating these two possibilities and substantiating it accordingly, right? So this is what we all can connect with, right? So you can just understand this given bit, right? Okay, now with respect to this, when we are further moving ahead, we all can see Srushti is also, yesterday we had seen. Okay, now with respect to this, as we are moving ahead, I would like to bring in the insights related to, like, let's say, the next subcomponent that is associated with word bank and sentence bank, and then we'll reflect upon the given core component of organization of essay. Okay. So with respect to word bank and sentence bank, just a second, not debatable essays. Debatable essays just in a short while. So word bank, when we speak of word bank, what do I imply by you creating the word bank? See, you students are exposed to, yes, 27-year question paper also, I will ask them to share. Okay. So 27-year question papers will also be shared, Pami. But do remember, 27-year question paper is like having questions till 2019 or 20 or maybe 21, something like that. But I'm 100% sure that 2021 and 2022 is not there. Okay. Maybe even 2020. So what you have to do is the slide which was shared on the first day, I will be sharing that also. So first thing that all of you have to do is remember and memorize the syllabus. When you know the syllabus of essay, which is barely of 2 paras, you know what is the aspiration of the examiner, what the examiner truly wants to learn from you. Okay. So what we all will be reflecting upon related to that given subsegment is that we will be like understanding, or we will be trying to gauge, trying to interpret the given possibility associated with this given dimension, and that is you will be trying to understand that what is the examiner thinking about. Then go ahead with all the slides that I have presented to you, the diagrams which I have drawn, like understanding the topic in letter and spirit, and then generating abundant ideas, language. I have written a lot of content, so keep segregating. Again, dimensions of essay with respect to the essay technology, which I said that like how much time should be devoted for choosing the topic, then idea generation, all that. So place that sheet, okay, because that is the order in which the slides have been created. So just place the sheets accordingly that you have like created. So what you should do is whatever you have noted down, all the sheets that you have noted down, and the slides that you will receive. So take a printout of the slide, and whatever you have noted down in the essay classes, just attach it accordingly wherever it should be attached. And don't take one full page printout, preferably take 2 slides in 1 page, preferably 2 slides in 1 page. If needed, you can note down the things so everything is in one place, it's not scattered. All right. And like in the 27-year paper, you will realize it is probably between 1991, Okay, from 1991, this is what I can recall. All the questions have been consolidated. So you'll get a trend analysis related to different topics, topic wise insight. Okay. Yeah, yeah. The do's and don'ts of the slide is also there, which is probably in day two. So, like from day one to day six, all the slides I'll get it shared. You'll realize that there is minimal content in the slide. You'll realize that the lecture is less about the slide. Slide is having indicative words. The lecture is more about what I shared with you, the qualitative analysis and insights that I shared with you, made you imagine and understand, and keywords that I wrote on the board. Okay, those core areas are, I would say, the actual reflection and the actual backbone of the essay. The slides are having indicative words and few examples. That's it. Okay, so you'll realize that the slides become empowering when you see them and you are able to recall the details that I had shared. So all the slides day 1 to day 6, I'll get it shared. Don't worry. Okay. Now, with respect to this component of word bank, see what I generally say to the students, whosoever is preparing for this exam. I say this given fact that all types of communication that you have with the examiner, it is through the power of words, right? The examiner is coming to know you through your words. Like it's like I would say, whether it's the mains answer or it is the interview, the kind of words that you write or the words that you speak creates all the difference, right? So, how about the given possibility that you create a meaningful articulation of words and you're confident with the set of words? And the truth is, when it comes to vocabulary practice, majority of the students, like, have the tendency of like, um, memorizing the words or working on their vocabulary. Probably I would say something around their like school days, standard 7th, 8th. Majority of them stopped working on their vocabulary standard 9, 10th onwards because of the pressure of 10th board, then 11th, 12th. Many of them were not from humanities background, and then graduation, other pressures, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. So a lot of students, they have a tendency to miss out. And when I speak of this given possibility that a lot of students have the tendency to miss out, that is something which I can consider, or I can say that is like kind of problematic. That is kind of, we can consider generating some kind of issue or some kind of challenge, right? So, in this given possibility, when we are speaking of the tentative breakthroughs, okay, we all can reflect upon the given dimension, or we can consider the given possibility associated with this dimension of word bank and then the dimension of sentence bank. If you start working on it, you can really create a meaningful impact, because see, the same thing every student is writing in GS or in essay. Core issues or the backbone issues are similar. The actual difference that comes forth is by the kind of language that you use. Okay, so how to work on your language, that's something which I suggest to the students. I empower the students with respect to I would say the kind of meaningful articulation that a child can create while preparing GS. See, if you take note, in GS paper, except science and technology, and maybe few, very few topics of geography, because majority of geography which you are doing is associated with human geography, right? So there are concerns of IR and environmental summits and whatnot, right? So you can see that human geography actually dominates the game. Physical geography or natural geography is also there, but it is not so very technically in detail as much as a student in geography optional would probably be studying. So when we speak of the given dimension associated with like the subject, the preparation that you're doing for civil services exam, paper one, history, art and cultures, Indian society, then again we can see part of human geography, then paper two also polity, governance, social justice, IR. Paper three, you can see internal security, then you have economy, then disaster management, right? Then you can further move ahead, you can see ethics, integrity, aptitude. So there is a dominance of humanities subjects, and majority of the essays are somewhere associated with the core concerns of humanities subjects. So if you learn how to prepare the notes of GS, you really know how to work it out for essay also simultaneously. See, I don't know how far all of you have been preparing the notes. I have no clue regarding that, but I can advise you how you should go ahead with the preparation of notes. And for that, I'll just create a certain ripple in your thought process, and I will just create some kind of nervousness right now associated with what you have done. Okay. So, with respect to this, I will be first asking you this question. Suppose you are writing your mains exam, like for a while, just consider that you are, suppose you are writing your mains exam just after a week. Okay, just after a week. And you have sat down to revise GS paper 2. And in GS paper 2, what has happened is, like, let us consider your polity teacher has taught you, and then you have read M. Lakshmikant also. Other than M. Lakshmikant, you must have read NCERT books also, because 11th, 12th NCERT is really good, right? So you have NCERT, you have M. Lakshmikant, you have the coaching material, you have the teacher's notes, certain dictations, etc., some PDFs, etc. This is the minimum stuff. Okay, so and after this, you also have like some current affairs, like updates, issues, maybe from Indian Express or the Hindu, which has been segregated for you and that has been provided to you, right? So you are like connected with that issue as well, all of it, like let's consider. So when you are connected with all these given subsegments, this as well as this, I blend all of it together. So in this given subsegment, try to visualize or imagine that after a week you have to appear for the mains exam. And now imagine that you have to revise paper 2, because you will be writing the entire paper 2 in one go. It won't be like you'll be writing a polity question in first half and IR question in the second half and governance the next day and social justice after in the second half of the next day. No, it will be just in one go, 3 hours. So you have to revise it also accordingly. Now, so suppose you have started with polity revision. And in the revision of polity, you have, because you have studied like Lakshmikant also thoroughly, so you are opening Lakshmikant. You are, because you are like thorough with NCERT, you are opening NCERT. Teacher's notes, because the teacher has explained well, so you will be opening that. The material also. After that, the current affairs also. Okay, now show me how you are going to revise. Suppose you have to revise like fundamental rights. So you'll be reading it from NCERT, then like Lakshmikant, then teacher's notes, then like let's say coaching booklet, then maybe some PDF, then maybe some news article which was in news associated with fundamental rights. That's one chapter. Opening 5 sources. Okay. Then visualize it for DPSP, then president, then center-state relation, blah, 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 blah. Keep doing that. Then visualize the same kind of scattered possibility with IR. Okay. Then think about the same related to social justice. Then think about the same related to governance. What kind of approach is this? Why is the material so scattered? If you have to write the mains exam the very, like let's say next month, will you be able to open all the sources and revise all of them? Is the material consolidated together? No. I mean, if someone tells you that revise just one chapter, fundamental rights, 5 sources, that will make you crazy. But if I tell you that this is like let's say 500 odd pages, okay, 500 chalo zyada bol diya, abhi prani nikal jayega 500 soch ke. So like let us consider, if I tell you that these are like, let us consider 100 odd pages related to fundamental rights, everything from NCERT to like let us say M. Lakshmikant to the material which like your teacher has provided to the coaching material, etc., etc. Everything is consolidated in these 100 pages. We're like, oh yes, this is what I needed. I don't care whether I have, for fundamental rights, I have to read 80 pages or 100 pages. Okay, but I wish everything was consolidated in one place, chapter after chapter. For revising polity, even if I have to undergo like something like 1000-page reading, I don't mind. But let everything be chapter wise, like organized, right? That's what you must be expecting. Now the question arises that when you want everything organized in one go, are you actually organizing things in one go? That next year if you are writing mains, you are not opening multiple books and suddenly getting scattered and then feeling, let me keep only 1 or 2 sources, close all of them. Then why did you read other things when you can't revise it, recall it and put it on paper? What is the purpose of reading that? if it is not a part of your core revision and preparation? That's my question. And it is associated with all papers. GS paper 3, think about it. Economy, similarly, it must be scattered. Science and technology, disaster management, right? So when we are speaking of all these given possibilities, the scatter approach. History, similarly, multiple NCRTs, geography, multiple NCRTs, then GC Leong or Bipin Chandra, or you are having Indian society. So think about it. What is exactly happening in your ecosystem? What is exactly happening in your level of, we can say, critical reflection and understanding? And whatever is happening, is it happening like in a justified manner, right? So what probably is required, what I would suggest is that, you know, this actually when I had shared with one of the students last to last year, so what happened, he heard that the session was it was in the month of Jan end or February first week, and the student like started scratching the head, oh my god, after 3 months I have to write the prelims and then I have to revise for mains. And this is a core issue because actually my material is kind of scattered. So like I will link current affairs with static, and I will be like tough segments from the class, whatever you will realize, like Nimai, as you are suggesting, that visually, mentally visualize, like when you are talking about some short notes of Lakshmikant, that is in a separate copy. Current affairs, you cannot suddenly recall. It is also documented in a separate space. So everything is separate. Imagine and visualize the physicality of it. Everything is separate. But when you have to revise and produce, it has to be integrated. And this separation is going to create major chaos if truly you are writing the mains. So if you truly imagine and visualize that you are writing the mains, ask yourself how you are going about with consolidation of material. So what should be done? Loose sheets. That's my advice. Yes. Take loose sheets, independent loose sheets, A4 size paper. And whatever you are studying, preparing, let everything get documented there. Even if, like, when I shared this, that student was like, he was so nervous. What he did was that after the prelims exam, he actually tore the books chapter wise. And after that, after cutting all the relevant pages, he stapled all of them together, connected all the news articles related to that specific chapter. He connected that also, pasting it on A4 size page and then stapling that also. So fundamental rights, everything one place, everything that has to be revised. Okay. So he was like, ma'am, it came as such a shocker when you said that. And then I was like, the moment my prelims is over, irrespective of what score I'm getting, I will first sit down and I'll try to revise and I'll see that where I'm standing. And then quickly I'll try to integrate everything, even before the results are out, related to at least 4 or 5 core chapters. I'll integrate the material. So he was like, ma'am, this is what I did. I was like, why did you have to tear the book? You could have got it photo stated or something like that. Like, ma'am, I was comfortable. I had underlined it myself. So I was like, okay, whatever. To each his own, okay, or her own. So I just introduced this idea to your sub-segment because now what I'm going to suggest, it will take care of the component of word bank also. It will take care of the component of sentence bank also. Okay. So, because in the end of the day, from where are you going to upgrade your vocabulary? From where are you going to, like I would say, empower your vocabulary? That has to come from your GS preparation, from your optional preparation. Those are the areas which are introducing you to new ideas and perspectives. So when I'm speaking of, like, let us say, improving upon your vocabulary, working on your vocabulary, this is what I can probably suggest, right? So with respect to this, okay, when I'm talking about how to prepare notes, first I'll draw and explain how you all should integrate and prepare the notes. And then further we can move ahead with the breakthroughs which you can come up with. Let us see. So with respect to this given sub-dimension related to the notes preparation, see, what you should do first and foremost, you should paste the syllabus of that subject. Yes, the syllabus. because the syllabus gives you a key what has been in news, which source has been used for which topic, and other than that, you also have a tendency to remember which topic was covered exhaustively by the teacher, considering it important, and which topics have been supported by notes. And if on a relevant subtopic I had don't have anything, neither notes nor discussion, then उस topic का माई बाप कौन, ठीक है? It applies to my areas as well. Okay, because syllabus gives you a core sneak peek regarding the level of preparedness of that topic. Okay, so with respect to this, paste the not, remember, not the entire syllabus, the syllabus of that subject. Like let us say, if it is like, let's say, social issues. Okay, so if I speak of social issues, it can be divided into two parts. GS paper 1, it is Indian society, and we can consider GS paper 2, that is associated with social justice, right? So like let's say you have pasted, like let's say, salient features of Indian society. Okay, so salient features of Indian society, and then like suppose you, and then you have like pasted the syllabus of social justice. Now you know what are the subtopics in the syllabus about which the notes should be there. That's the first page of the A4 size paper. Then, और पता है A4 size का फायदा क्या होता है? You don't end up losing pages. Like in register, the problem is that you will have the tendency that last 10 pages, 50 pages, whatever, are vacant. And that's why few students, in the name of saving the page, they use one register for multiple subjects, 2 or 3 subjects, and that's such a chaos. Such students are never imagining that they are actually writing the mains. What kind of chaos is this at this level of preparation, that you are trying to save a register? Rather than that, purchase a bundle of A4 size paper. How much soever number of pages you need, you will be using that number, and rest of the pages will be left. Another benefit is that like you will be practicing like more like UPSC sheets, because it won't be ruled. They are unruled pages. So you organize how to write in flow, not climbing up the mountain or going down the mountain, not leaving the space or going like in a segregated fashion. Because people who are writing in a, I would say, in a vacant space, they tend to suffer, they tend to like experience the strain, because they are not working on the given subsegment, right? So all right, now let us consider. So after the component, like let's say, of the syllabus, after the syllabus, second thing that should be pasted by you is this. Not pasted, in fact, noted. This is page number, this is topic, and this is associated with revision 1, revision 2, okay, revision 3, revision 4, revision 5. You might feel curious, why did I write it on the top by mistake? I was actually thinking, and I should have now. Okay, now, so suppose I'm just giving you a hint. So suppose first is salient features of Indian society, right? Second chapter, suppose you are like talking about diversity of India. Then third chapter, like let's say globalization, the impact of globalization. Suppose next chapter is related to poverty. Suppose next chapter is associated with secularism and communalism. So secularism, communalism. Okay. Suppose next chapter is population. Okay. Similarly, you have topics related to urbanization, regionalism, right? Social empowerment. You have topics associated with role of women, women organization, all that. Okay. So in the similar manner, you can make it in 2 pages also, because there's social justice topics also. In Indian society, there are relevant topics. Social justice, again, you have an array of topics. Now, you can monitor how many pages were utilized for which subtopic. You can also monitor the nature of revision. How many revisions should be done when we speak of it? So when I'm speaking of the revision, please do remember, revision 1 is within 24 hours. Revision 2 is within 48 hours. Revision 3 is like, let us consider, within a week. Revision 4 is within a fortnight. And revision 5 is, we can consider, within 30 days. All right. So this is the breakup when we speak of this given sub-segment, right? 5 revisions when we are speaking of this given dimension. So I hope all of you are getting some kind of idea, clarity and composure regarding this. If you are not revising 5 times, it will so happen that you will complete the subject. 2 months later, you'll open the book and it will feel as new as a fresher's book. You will see that you have underlined words. You will have a sense of clarity related to keywords, but you will not remember the like core details, okay, the core details of the topic. So what is, okay, so with respect to the component, what you are asking, whoever this person is asking, if I put a quotation from newspaper article or from an advertisement in the introduction, then how I mention the source of the quotation in the essay. So with respect to this, it's not necessary you always quote the source. If you're writing, like let's say an advertisement, so you can always write as popularly quoted by so and so advertisement, or you can do away with the name of the advertisement. You can just take away the jingle and you can like borrow the jingle and write it out, okay. Or if you're lifting from a news article, if you remember the author, you can say according to so and so, this is it, because the person has written the article and it is like the author's guest or art like editors, their name is given. That's how. And if nothing, then as popularly said, as popularly expressed. Anyway, let us not break the link, whoever like has written, because the person who has written this is a core concern. But if you are a person of wisdom, you know when to raise this question, because this will break the flow, the discussion that I'm taking up, okay, because this is more integral to your preparation. And I'm very sure that 99% students suffer from this lack of organization, because batch after batch I have seen that. And interestingly, I get that intellectual space while discussing the component of essay, that how you can work systematically and in an organized fashion, not only working on your notes, but also word bank and sentence bank. See, so first page is going with syllabus. Second page is going with this organization sheet where you can micro monitor every chapter, whether you have revised it or not, how many times you have revised. As in psychology, you can see the theory of forgetting curve. You can revisit this theory of forgetting curve in psychology. It says that if you are not revising something 5 times, okay, you will not remember it. Like 90% of the content will be lost. That's why the subjects you have studied 2 months back, 3 months back, when you touch those books, you feel that yes, I have read them, but I cannot recall the details. If the books are closed and you are made to write an answer, you'll be like, I'm feeling so jittery. Why? In mains, will you be allowed to, like in prelims, at least the 4 options are there. You have to like guess or recall amongst the 4 options which one is correct. But in mains, it's all about memory. Whatever you remember, you'll be able to write. And whatever you have read so far, like 2 months back or 3 months back, is it a part of your thought process and memory? That's my question. Okay, now, so when we are discussing about this given subsegment associated with, like let us say, the component of word bank and what segments get associated with this dimension, with respect to this, Biswajit, meditation, integrating with the process of living. That's the answer. Integrate with the process, not with the result. And when you integrate with the process in a joyous manner, that this is great, bit by bit, this is what I did. Like micromanage your daily targets. After completing your daily targets, be happy as a person. Life is not about the outcome, it is more about the process. Anyway, so with respect to this, when we are talking about the component of this organization, then comes the dimension of notes. This is the third segment. Whenever you are preparing notes, especially I'm saying this to West Bengal students, okay, because Kolkata Center is on addressing. My past experiences with the West Bengal students over the decade, which I have visited to, like, Kolkata or like in other parts of India, two core qualities I've seen with 90% of the students, and I mean it, 90. Not, I'm not saying like 70 or 60, I'm not saying 100, okay, but majority have this tendency. First, very teeny tiny handwriting. They will have a tendency to fit in 150 words in one page. I don't know why. Despite having very good handwriting, they have a tendency to fit in more. Second problem which I see, majority of the students have the tendency to like start writing from here. They'll keep writing like this, and they will keep writing till this. So everything is filled, everything. There is no breathing space. I don't know why. Okay, so if you are one of those students, okay, if you have this tendency, what you need to do is, because the notes should be as such, that when you are revisiting it, it's not chaotic, everything is in one place. So develop the habit of UPSC. First, learn to leave these two corners. That's a respectable space, because the page should look breathable. Okay. Second thing, when we are talking about it, either this or this, either of the margins should be left, this or this, either of the margins should be left. All right, so I hope you are able to connect and understand this given subsegment, right? So this or this, leave it and then move ahead. Why? Because suppose tomorrow you are reading something in NCERT, and suppose this is your core notes. This core notes can be in any form. It can be in printed form, it can be a certain segment of a book which you consider is, this is my base material, anything. Okay, but along with that, like when you are making bullet points and notes or whatever, leave some margin. This margin gives you the intellectual space to paste something which is new or current or related, or you want to write down some hint words. Either this or this, any of the like border should be left. Okay, then after this, after, like, let's say this is the notes. After notes, what you should work on immediately or after this is the PYQs, the previous year question. Whatever are the subtopics related to a given subject, open the various subdimensions and try to attempt at least for every dimension two subtopics, like for every subtopic two questions. Okay, means in a chapter you may end up like solving at least 5 to 6 questions, at least, I'm saying. Okay, so just make a list of PYQ, how you should prepare. So like, let's say this is the question. After that, in the answer, always try to write the introduction in language, no bullet points. Okay, so write the introduction in language, and after writing in language, then the core content you will be opening related to that answer in bullet points, and then after that give conclusion again in language. That's how. Because majority of the students, they struggle how to start a question, how to write the answer by starting it, what should be the first opening sentence. And second problem which students suffer from is how to conclude the answer, how to put an end to the content. Learn that needs practicing. Okay, after this, what you're supposed to do is, once you have done, like, let's say the PYQs, then you come up with the dimension of, like, so this is like PYQ is 4. So then fifth dimension is associated with current affairs. Majority of the topics except history in your syllabus will have the scope and space for current affairs. So dedicate few pages for current affairs. Do not keep a common folder or a common copy for current affairs. I'll tell you this. This happened to one of my students, Amit Pandey. He's an IPS officer. So just before the mains, a couple of years back, what happened? He just came running to me and he said that, ma'am, please help me. I was like, what happened? So he showed me a file and he was like, ma'am, just go through it. Just see the kind of articles I have selected. So very good, wholesome articles. I had seen that he had underlined, he had, like, written his comments also related to different issues. So there was, like, when we are speaking of this given subsegment, language mean I cannot understand. Language mean I can't understand. There is nothing written like language over here, Biswajit. So please be more explicit and articulate. So I don't understand what you imply by the word language mean I cannot understand. Can you just be more clear? Because I cannot understand the nature of question. Now, with respect to this, like, let us consider, as I was sharing with all of you, that current affairs, suppose you have like started noting it down. So what happened with this fellow Amit, when he gave me the file, he showed me, and there was amazing articles related to like history and geography and this and that, alag alag usne kar rakha tha. Phir usne social issues wala nikala. In social issues, he showed that he had consolidated the articles related to education, women, children. Okay, there were articles related to healthcare. There were articles associated with like certain reflections on secularism. Amazing collection of articles. I was like, good. So what's the concern? Like, ma'am, I think you can sense it. I just smiled. I was like, you say it. It's like, ma'am, as you can see, I created a separate folder for social issues. All the article related to social issues throughout the year that I kept studying, I kept cutting and putting it. I was like, yes, I can see that. Like, ma'am, but when I'm going to revise social issues, now the problem is in the social issues folder, I have consolidated all articles and kept. There are some like 80 or 100 odd articles. And the problem is, I have read all of them. But the biggest problem is when I'm suppose revising role of women, so the and I want to update it with the current affairs articles I have read and I have underlined related to women. It is sorted out by me and kept in the social issues folder. The biggest challenge is the moment I'm trying to find the article of women, I'm also seeing articles of children, healthcare, education, nutrition, poverty, hunger, population. So like just for finding the women article, it is taking time, and I am apprehensive I won't be able to revise this current, and thus the theory you have taught, the theory is not going to like get connected. The theory is not going to get connected associated with I would say the theory is not going to get connected with the current affairs which is in news. सो फिर आई वाज लाइक हाँ ये बात तो है बिल्कुल. तो बोले मैम प्लीज 2 महीने बाद मेन से मदद कर दीजिए. सो देखो ऑफलाइन में ये उसको एडवांटेज मिल गया. Every student does not get this advantage, especially with the possibility of qualitative education spreading across India or world through online or internet services. But a lot of drudgery, which you can get it done by your teacher by emotionally blackmailing, especially a week or a month or 2 months before your mains exam, because the teacher sees, oh, the child has potential, can clear the exam. The teacher wants to walk an extra mile, fight extra for the student, do something extra for the student. A teacher fails to do that when there is the online session first, and second is walking that extra mile for every student is also tough, technically tough. Why not to make you liberated and independent? So that year only I just promised this to myself. I was like, every single batch I'll tell the students to go ahead with this. That is, segregate the current affairs according to chapter, not according to subject, according to chapter. So I, like, it took like couple of hours. I segregated all the material like chapter wise. So women articles, and then health articles, education articles, nutrition articles, poverty articles, okay, education related, so secularism related, all that. I did it. And I, like, pasted all of it in A4 size papers, stapled them separately, and then I provided, and it's like, lo bhaiya, jao, laga lo, chapter wise, kar lo revise. Thankfully, he got selected. All the hard work paid. Okay. So why am I sharing this? Because without organization, even if you are preparing material, you are sorting out current affairs material, soft copy or hard copy. If it is not sorted chapter wise, in the last moment, revision will be impossible. Okay. So what should be done? Current affairs should be placed with the chapter, okay. So you first and foremost, you are providing the notes of the chapter, and after the notes of the chapter, then you are providing the PYQs. Now with respect to PYQs, one of your friends, Biswajit, he said that, ma'am, after question to write language, that I can't understand. After question, introduction, do not write it in bullet points. In introduction, write full sentence. That's what I imply to say, give language to it. Okay. So write full sentence in introduction. Okay, full sentence in introduction. In conclusion also provide a full sentence. This is what I imply. I don't know how it was tough to understand, but theek hai, koi baat nahi. And after giving full sentence, 1 or 2 sentences to introduction, then the other points which you have to write in between the answer, that can be mentioned in bullet points. So that later, when you are revising, just by seeing the bullet point, you remember the detail, because you have revised the chapter. So the detail is there, you remember the detail. So just by seeing indicative points, you remember what you would write in the final answer. That's what I'm saying. Those students who are saving time, they don't want to compromise with quality, but they want to save time. They're running short of time. For them, for improving your writing speed, etc., whatever, do this. This is what I'm saying. In the exam, can I use bullet points in the middle part of the answer, Madan? Yes, you can. You can use bullet points in the middle part of the answer in GS exam, not in essay, not in essay. Okay, you can do that. In reality, if I go through one subject consecutively, it becomes monotonous. Yes, you can do that. You can study two subjects in a day. Okay, one optional and one GS, that can be done. Two subjects in a day. So I was myself that kind of a person. I could not go with one subject in a day. But here we are not discussing how many subjects in a day. Here we are discussing chaos related to notes, chaos related to preparation, okay, fragmentation related to preparation. So let us not get diverted once again by regular reflections and remarks. So this, after this, once the current affair is there, then comes the component of word bank and sentence bank. Okay, then you have to place the word bank and then you have to place sentence bank. Now, what do I imply by this so-called word bank and sentence bank? Now, I'll be elaborating upon the same. Again, with respect to this, there can be a challenge related to page. Suppose a student has written on poverty. So, suppose a student has written like page number 47 to like let us say 69, okay, is associated with poverty. But suppose a student comes across some critical reflection on poverty, which adds 2 pages here, or which adds in current affairs, suppose some material gets added. You're like, my page organization will get affected. No, not really. No, not really. How? Suppose. So notes, suppose it is getting ended, it is getting over on page number, like let's say 47 से, suppose ये चलता है आपका 59 तक. And suppose PYQ is starting from page number 60. So you're like, where is the space? There is space. You can always add more pages. Add one page, 59A, 59B, 59C, 59D. Keep adding pages, as many as you want. Similarly, suppose current affairs, you have like page number 61 to 63. And then word banks, suppose it starts on page number 64, 65, and then 67, 68, something like that. Okay. So suppose 61, 62, 61 to 60 चलो और ज़्यादा डाल देते हैं, ठीक है, इसको कर देते हैं 66, इसको कर देते हैं 65, okay. So suppose you have to add more in current affairs, no problem, keep adding 65A, 65B, 65C, okay, like this. You can keep adding more and more number of pages. Thus, the material will always remain organized. Alright, I hope you are understanding this. Now, getting back to the component of word bank, how you can improve upon your word bank. Many students, they try to memorize words in isolation, and that also becomes tough, that also becomes tricky. And every single chapter of GS has the potential to empower a student with new sets of words and new expressions. There is one more gap which I have noticed. There is a difference between knowing a word and capability to use it. Like for example, all of you know the word nevertheless, right? Hitherto. But how many of you are capable to use it as your thought process, as a part of your expression, right? This is what I'm hyphenating. So if you are like, let us say, working on the possibility of like writing something meaningful, if you are working on the possibility of creating something like we can say wholesome, in that given situation, we all can probably work on the various, we can say, details or various subsegments accordingly. So here, when we are talking about this, we all can work on the component. So I hope everyone is understanding. So we all can work on the component of, like, let's say first, let me give this dimension of word bank. And always remember, as I'm saying, whatever I write on the board, it is not reaching out to you in soft copy. So that's something which you should keep noting down so that it stays with you. So under the component of word bank, like for example, you all know this word democracy, right? Everyone knows this. But if I use a prefix and I create a word set, it will have a meaningful articulation. Like, let's say, if I use the word like let's say decentralized democracy, right? It sounds better. If I say negotiated democracy, if I say crucified democracy, If I say fledgling democracy, it will add some thought-provoking meaning to it. This is what we can see. Decentralized democracy, all of you know. Negotiated democracy, where the essence of democracy will somewhere get challenged, right? Again, you can see that crucified democracy, crucifixion of Christ, you can just remember. So, crucified democracy, where democracy has been compromised by nailing it to death. Okay, that's what it implies. Again, fledgling democracy. Fledgling is a little bird, a baby bird, or we can consider a baby doe. Okay, so that also can be there. What is a doe? So you can see the deer's baby is a doe. So sometimes a little baby of sometimes an animal, not heavy animals, but sometimes we can see smaller or lithe animals, and sometimes bird babies can be referred as fledgling. So like let's say you are talking about India of 1950s or 60s or 70s. So especially 50s, 60s, you can use this expression. Fledgling democracy, the fledgling economy of India. Okay, so fledgling, you can understand this, right? So this word sets create like ease of memory, and they are like, let us say, they create a meaningful articulation with respect to whatever a student can probably create when we are discussing about it. Okay, so try to get into the game of creating something which is helpful for you, something which is, I would say, creating a meaningful articulation to the like world of wisdom. So like let us say when we are speaking of this given dimension, you can remember some simpler words like unforeseen consequences. See this? I can give you a list of such simple words which you can always notice. The NCRTs are full of such words. Okay. You can see words like state of art. So state of art. What is state of art? State of art technology, like something which is at a cutting edge, right? So we can reflect upon this. Mosaic of life. See these expressions when we speak of it. Unprecedented situation. Unprecedented situation. Right. Similarly, if I'm reflecting upon the same, we can also think of, like, let us consider um, something like under the component of sentence bank, we can also consider and create uh, something like, let's say, there are a lot of words, but I'm just trying to map it whether it will be fitting your insight or not. Okay, so we all can consider quantum jump. Quantum jump, words which are easy but not a part of your expression. Okay, so you can think of something like, we can say, abject poverty. Okay, so I hope all of you are getting some kind of understand. Dance of democracy has been used by Hindu in describing Lok Sabha election. Yes, 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 that's what. So you can always come up with this. So like baffling question, unflinching confidence, or brimming with confidence. Right? So this is something which we can discuss with respect to word bank. Don't try to memorize words in isolation. Lift smaller expressions, phrasal expressions, like preferably 2 words or so, or 3 words, and then note that down. And when towards the end of the chapter, so that when you're revising a chapter, you are first going through, you're seeing the syllabus, then the notes, then the PYQ, then the current affairs, then the word bank, then the sentence bank, like that. So that's like a wholesome preparation of a chapter. And whatever is asked in essay is not like dissociated from GS. Remember when we were talking about dimensions? So in dimensions, what were we doing? We were opening every single subsegment of the chapter, right? If I was saying social dimension, entire social issues chapter, social justice chapter. Economy or entire like segment of economy, all economic chapters connected to the topic. Is there any connection? If any, what sentence can I pull out? What idea can I pull out? Right? So I hope all of you are understanding this bit. Okay, with respect to one of the students who asked that if I revise one subject 5 times continuously, consecutively, then maximum how many days should I give for one subject? Other subjects keep on going. You've finished, like let's say polity in 15 days and you've started geography, but what you studied 15 days back in polity, you will start revising it geography. There is a separate sub segment of daily timetable devoted for revision. If you don't know that, revision is a separate game. Revision is a cyclical phenomena. Every day, 1 hour at least is dedicated for the issue of revision. So 2 or 3 hours, whatever you are studying a new subject or the subject which is still in continuation, then a second subject, and revision is having a separate sub pocket that is a dedicated time space for like every single day related to whatever has been studied. And how is it revised? When we speak of it, there are 3 cores of revision. Like today I'll be revising what? First I'll be revising what I studied yesterday, whatever I have studied. So what I have studied yesterday. So in that it will be thought provoking. I'll be reflecting. I'll be like reading the core ideas. I'll be reflecting upon the in-depth segment. I will be today only revising something which I studied day before yesterday, but it will be speedier because I've already revised it twice. Once when I was writing or reading it, second when I did it yesterday. So today I'll be speedier. I'll be seeing only keywords, the words which I'll be forgetting. I'll be just revisiting the details of those words. That's my second revision. So today I am doing a revision of yesterday's material, day before yesterday's material. That's it. And not just that, after that, like let's say I'm having a break or something like that, then after that I'm revising something which I studied like let's say a week back. But because I have already revised it twice other than writing it, so 3 efforts have been made. So I'll be just jumping through the keywords, revisiting the keywords and asking yaad to hai detail, wipe out to nahi hua. Okay, so just jumping through the keywords. Something which I studied 15 days back, just jumping through the keywords. Something which I studied a month back, just jumping through the keywords. That's what. So third, fourth and fifth revision is super speedy, but that is to keep the concept and the subject intact. And a lot of students have been able to craft their timetable accordingly. ये सब तो करना पड़ेगा ना. Who will be doing this for you, right? So that's what you have to understand. Can we include idioms and phrases as well? Yes, definitely you can incorporate idioms and phrases. Where will I get the synonyms? Like I am saying, Pintu, go through the NCERT book. The NCERT book is a treasure for simple yet profound expressions. Expressions which students, they know that they know, but they don't know. That's also there. Every time I like, sometimes, not always, sometimes when I take the orientation session for a beginner's batch, I do this. I make them understand the NCERT, and in the process of orienting them to NCERT, I explain some core concepts and ideas to them. And in the process, they are aware of this. All right. Another sub-segment which you need to understand is like, suppose in matter of using Bengali quotes. No, you should not write in Bengali font. Okay, you should write, if you are interested, you can write it in English font. Preferable is you just provide the translation. As a popular phrase goes in Bangla, and then you can just write down the translation. That's it. The examiner is not bound to know any other language. If you are like some students, they have a tendency that when they are writing a Sanskrit quotation, they write it in English font, Sanskrit, and then after that they provide the translation. Never ever presume that the examiner will know Sanskrit or Hindi or Bangla or Tamil. No. Okay, so that's what. Fine. I hope all of you are gaining some kind of grip over what's unfolding for you. With respect to like sentence bank. Sentence bank can be generated. It can be a list of sentences which are thought-provoking and powerful, which are so meaningful that they can be added in essay or they can be added in GS as well. Sentences which leave you thinking and gaping that, oh yes, that's something. That's something meaningful and profound to begin with. All right. So with respect to the given subsegment of, like, let's say sentence bank, as you are creating it, we all can support a lot of insights related to it. So in this given subsegment, let us like incorporate some creative reflections pertaining to this. Let's say you are working on the issue of environment. We just read unprecedented situation. So you can always create something like that. The unprecedented consequences of environmental or of damage to biodiversity. Okay. Expressions like we can consider, if you are creating a sentence bank, the litmus test of a balanced ecosystem is the health of its biodiversity. Litmus test, remember, we used to do it in chemistry experiment. Okay, so the litmus indicator of the health of an ecosystem is the diversity in flora and fauna, anything of that sort. Okay, again, like sentence bank, when we are speaking of it, you can think of like, you know, the rather than dependence on petroleum, we need to switch to natural resources. And then you're further writing like solar energy, you can write down wind energy. Vis-a-vis, can we also create vis-a-vis? So VISAVIS, vis-a-vis, many people say that. Okay, can we also reflect upon nuclear energy? Question mark. So you're leaving the examiner to think, then you're talking about the challenges or limitations of it, right? So expressions which are simple yet thought provoking, expressions which can be manipulated, or sentences which can be manipulated and can be written even in GS, right? There was a very beautiful sentence that was given in NCERT Standard 11 political theory book related to secularism. It said that secularism is, and I'm not using the exact sentence, but the spirit of the sentence and almost similar words. Okay, so it is like, and if you request, then if you'll be really adamant, then I can open, I have the chapter in soft copy, I can open and read it out. Okay, so in the chapter of secularism, there's a sentence which suggests that secularism is articulation of justice, equality, and human rights for all. Such a simple but wholesome sentence. This sentence can be used in GS as well as essay. Okay, so secularism is articulation of justice, human rights, and equality for all. See, thought provoking. So when I say creating a sentence bank, it does not mean tough words in a sentence. No, it means philosophically deep sentences. It means sentences which have an undercurrent of meaning. Sentences which have a lot of depth and dimension, which leaves you in a thought-provoking mode, enlisting those sentences. And subject after subject, chapter after chapter, if you collect just 10 sentences also, you will have so many sentences, just imagine. And once you are revising the notes, in the process of revising the notes, like you are mentioning such sentences in between the notes also, but once the notes is over, once you have revised the PYQ, once you have revised the word bank, and you're just revisiting the core sentences, not bullet points, not, I would say, dimensions. वो सब notes में लिख दिया है, dimensions, bullet points, etc. Everything is there. Sentences which are wholesome. If you remember those sentences, they will like add value to your answer. That kind of sentence is what I am requesting for. Right? Memorize that, reproduce that, create that. See the kind of breakthrough that you can come up with. Right? So that is something which we all can reflect upon, which we all can create, which we all can probably, create a massive intervention. Okay, I'll show you some quotations also. In the process of sentence bank, you can also consolidate a list of quotations. Okay, So that will also fix the game, because you are not reproducing the quotation in GS answer, but you can always take or borrow the essence of the quotation and write it in your own words. Because what is quotation? It is a gist sentence which is full of wisdom, right? Thought provoking analysis. Do that. Do that. It's essential. See this? I'll show you with respect to this. We won't have a society if we destroy the environment. See, isn't it leaving you to think just for a few extra seconds? A nation that destroys its soil, not soils, okay? A nation that destroys its soil destroys itself. See this? Quite wholesome. Again, we can see what is the use of a house if you haven't got a tolerable planet to put it on, more like essay. But these can be used even in GS. See this? You'll be like, oh my god, such a heavy quotation. No, very meaningful. You'll realize as I explain it to you. This is written by, as you can see, Ban Ki-moon. Ban Ki-moon is you can see, Secretary General of United Nations. Okay, he was associated with United Nations. He's ex-Secretary General. What is written? Just pay attention. It's written, saving our planet, lifting people out of poverty, advancing economic growth. These are one and the same fight. Now that comes as a surprise to you, right? So saving our planet, lifting people out of poverty, and advancing our economic growth, these are one and the same fight. We must connect the dots between climate change, water scarcity, energy shortage, global health, food security, and women's empowerment. Solutions to one problem must be solutions for all. Right? You can see that. Madam, can we use meaningful idioms in sentences? Yes. Idioms, phrases, proverbs can also be lifted. Okay. Anything which is engaging the attention of the examiner and is relevant, not like unnecessarily stuffed up. Okay. Till the time you are maintaining that, the sense of justice is maintained. So don't worry. Okay. Then further, we all can reflect upon the same. See this? Our planet's alarm clock is going off and it is time to wake up and take action. Again, Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. You must have heard this very popular quotation of Mahatma Gandhi. If all mankind were to disappear, the world would regenerate back to the rich state of equilibrium that existed 10,000 years ago. If insects were to vanish, the environment would collapse into chaos. E.O. Wilson, right? So I hope all of you are getting an idea related to how to generate sentence bank. Wholesome, meaningful sentences. I gave you example from NCERT itself, right? From secularism. Do that. Fix yourself. You are having tremendous potential and tremendous access to content. You just have to do wholesome justice to that content. You just need to learn how to bring that content in a more justified manner, how to write that content, how to work on that content in a more justified manner. And that you can learn when you are paying attention not only to the bullet points, the dimensions, when you are paying attention to the possibility that how I am getting to learn about the grammar, the sentence formation, the language, the interconnectivity of one sentence to the other sentence, how, like, let us say, the expression is written. So not just paying attention to points, bullet points you can extract from a material, but also the language, the expression, the possibility. Continuously you're exposed to so much of material, subject after subject. So who is saying you're not exposed to a lot of content which is written in an essay-like format? Whether newspaper articles or NCERT chapters, everything is written in an essay-like format. Except दुक्की type छाप जो किताब होते हैं, जैसे स्पेक्ट्रम हो गया, बुलेट बुलेट बुलेट, लक्ष्मीकांत हो गया, बुलेट बुलेट, but they are not standard academic books. They are more like competition books. Any academic book, you will see, like Bipin Chandra sir's book, Satish Chandra sir's book, it is more like a bullet point material. No, it is paraphrased. It's like any good standard academic book. So any standard academic book that you study, okay, or bedtime books, which I was suggesting to all of you, when you're reading any good book, you will realize that the book is inspiring you not only with points and ideas, but also language. And some people, like different people, have different art of penmanship. Some people have a very, I would say, exhaustive and voracious vocabulary. Some people are simple yet articulate. Okay, simple yet pointed. They have the power to influence even with their simplicity, because language is formal. So you can create your own blend. You can arrive at your own method. In essay, you don't need Shakespearean English, or I would say very flowery and heavy and tough and articulate English. No. In essay writing, what you really need is simple yet meaningful, formal and engaging essay. That's what is required. And formal and engaging. So that's why I say NCERT standard 12th level is that standard, or the Hindu or Indian Express articles you're reading, that's the standard that you have to reach in terms of language. Okay. Now, with respect to this, I can again show you something. Where is this? Yeah. So I have like just this, using transition between the paragraphs when we speak of it. So suppose you are changing the paras, you can write something like this: despite the previous arguments, dot dot dot, writing further ahead. Again, speaking about this, we can say that, okay, or regarding this, with regards to this, as it has been noted, to put it briefly, to cite examples, do not to. So this is like to. So to cite examples, we can say. Now I'll show you something more. See. These are some simple words, but students don't use them interchangeably. See, in every sentence, if you like, let's say in a given essay, suppose you have to write but, okay, that's a very common expression, but we may say that, but this, that, whatever. So every time a student is writing but, how about replacing the word? But with nevertheless, but with despite of, but with in spite, but with rather than. Replace but with like, let's say, however, although, though, right? So simple expression, when we are speaking of it, you can always see this, because that generates freshness. What are the words which we are repetitively using and commonly using? If we start remembering the replacements of those words, it adds freshness to the way we speak or write. Like students have a tendency to write example, for example, for example, for example. How about writing for instance? Okay, so here, like when we speak of it, I have given like this given subsegment. Wait. So for example, for instance, that is. So like suppose you are writing the concept and they're like that is, and then you are writing this, or such as, or as revealed by, as illustrated by, specifically, for one thing, an instance of this, alternatives, right? So something is like you are discussing about the result. So you're like therefore. Therefore is a common expression. Therefore. So rather than therefore, you can also write about it as hence, consequently, other than consequently, thereupon, right? So try to reflect upon alternatives. Okay. You're writing about condition, otherwise, else. Then you can talk about lest, L-E-S-T, lest. Okay. So when you are working on your expression, not only work on the bigger words of the vocabulary, work on simple alternatives. Because these are the words which will continuously flow, irrespective of GS or essay or topic, whichever you use. But these are the words which will stay. So how about thinking of their alternatives, right? Should we follow Down to Earth magazine for environment related essays? Yes, it's very good. This is like an issue. This, like I would say, magazine is qualitative and it is followed across the world. And even like I would say, many serious civil services aspirants also like keep themselves updated with this magazine. So if you're thinking of this, yes, why not, right? Then after this, we can also reflect upon organization of the essay. Okay. So under the component of, like, let's say, organization of the essay, maybe I should know with respect to it. Where is, probably I'll just have to open the note. Okay. Okay, so with respect to this organization of an essay. Now, the insights which I'm going to share with all of you is something which you people might not have um, reflected upon. Okay, one second, the insights I'm going to share related to organization of essay. Again, you will not find these details of bullet points in any book. And how did I arrive at it? By practicing. I mean it, by practicing. What exactly happened was that, almost like, 8 years back, once I was complaining it to one of my mentors, seniors, professors, whatever you call him. So I was saying that, sir, especially in essay class, I realized that students, they don't know how to organize the essay. Irrespective of whatever you tell them, practice more, do this, do that. So they are not probably practicing enough. That's why they suffer from the problem of organizing the content. So, and I'm really disappointed. Then, he raised a very profound question. He said, he just asked this thing from me, Shweta, when was it that last you wrote an essay? And I was taken by surprise. I was like, I do write once in a while certain like critical reflections on topics, or I do write once in a while, like maybe sometimes a poetry or so. But I have like not reflected upon the given possibility of writing the dimension of an essay or so. So then, to which he said that, so what you do is, because it has been few years since you have formally written an essay for UPSC, so what you do is you write an essay. And when you have written the content, you have generated enough ideas, type any introduction, a structure of introduction, a structure, keywords of conclusion. After the keywords of introduction and conclusion, that which you will be elaborating upon in the final essay, doing all that, then what you do is you organize the essay, and while organizing, think from a student's perspective, what they are doing and what they are not doing, and what should be done. And as you are reflecting upon it and you're writing all those details on a separate piece of paper, keep noting down what all steps you followed and share those steps in greater detail. So trust me, initially I used to like share barely 3-4 steps. Over the time period, the more I started reflecting deep, I realized that more details can get into the component of writing a powerful essay. So I shared it, and this something which I'm going to share is something exclusive to my experience while organizing an essay. And if you follow it with a lot of practice, I'm quite confident that it will be very fetching for you. You will be getting good marks. All right. So see this how essay can be organized. So first and foremost, we can talk about, we can consider in this given subsegment that identify the next two issues to be discussed, and please note it down because this is not coming to you, right? So please note it down. So identify the next two issues to be discussed after the introduction and the last two issues before the conclusion. Second, on a separate piece of paper, on a separate piece of paper, note down, okay, on a separate piece of paper, note down the order of the paras to be written. Full stop. Identify the issues to be written in between, to be written in between, comma, by blending brainstorming and brain mapping points. Brainstorming and brain mapping points. Right? Then third, prioritize the most important points that is the spirit of essay towards the beginning. Few pages. Full stop. Avoid introducing any new idea or segment towards the last few paras. The conclusion can include summative now what to do? Quickly note down. Okay, be very fast. There's one more opportunity. You can, like, revisit the lecture, right? So you can, what you can do is, if you are missing out on a point or two, just revisit the lecture, or like press the stop button, because it will be a recorded session, and then note down the points. I think that will be a smarter move. Okay, so that we focus on quality right now and quickly completing the segments rather than dragging and delaying, right? Okay, so the conclusion can include remarks, summative remarks, uh, quotations, or we can say, um, or wholesome reflections with suggestions or way forward. Way forward. Full stop. Okay. Then you can further mention After this, 4 points, fifth. Now calculate the tentative word limit assigned to every issue. Now calculate the tentative word limit assigned to every issue. All right. In the process, if it is close to 1180, then eliminate few miscellaneous points / examples. If it is closer to 1020, then add few miscellaneous left out points. If it is closer to 1020, then add few miscellaneous left out points or examples. Okay, then after that you can substantiate sixth. Then you can revisit the order of the points as this is the final opportunity to reshuffle any point if needed. Why will it be needed? To maintain the flow. Then seventh, now you can write the final draft of the essay. Now you can write the final draft of the essay. Okay, now you can read the final draft of the essay. All right. Okay, read point number 4. Sure, why not? What I have written in point number 4 is avoid introducing any new idea or segment towards the last few paras. Full stop. The conclusion can include summative remarks. Okay, and then it continues in the next page. So avoid introducing any new idea or segment towards the last few paras. The conclusion can include, because any new idea can create a surprise element. It can, it should have a sunset impact, as I told you. It should have a sense of closure. Okay, so that's why. So any new ideas in the last few paras. Why? Because there should be a sense of closure. Not a sense of surprise. Just for the sense of closure. Not a sense of surprise, just to avoid that sense of surprise. That's why I'm saying that you just have to avoid that given possibility. So the summative remarks, quotations, or wholesome reflections with the suggestion or way forward. All right. Now, with respect to this, when we are speaking of this given dimension, like I will be explaining this to you, how organization is done. Okay. So see, organization, like if we are talking about it, let us recall what you have done so far. So you have done brainstorming, whereby you have random spray of ideas. Then, like, let us consider you have done brain mapping, right, where you have opened multiple segments of a given topic, right, and in the process a lot of ideas have got reflected, right, something like this. Now, this is your brain mapping. Then you have written, like, let's say, a tentative structure of the introduction, what segments you will be reproducing, and then you have written a tentative structure of conclusion, that what kind of tentative possibilities you will be creating. After the introduction and conclusion, what I'm saying is, so you can see 3 pages have been consumed on an average. This is why I said towards the first day that you might need like 2 sides of, like we can say 2 rough pages, and that is both the sides of the 2 rough pages will be consumed on an average. Why? You will see that. So now I am, like, let us say, taking another page. Now this time I am elongating the diagram because you have to understand what you have to do while organizing the essay. And mind it, let me share this with you. Any of you who will be practicing the essay, you will realize that the toughest part is time management. Because now because you all have listened to this, you will, Biswajit, I'll visit the points. So anything, any word you have missed out, you will be able to read it. Now focus on what I'm speaking. Please understand this given subdimension, that when I'm going to explain this given possibility, when you are doing it in the exam, or even like exam is like way far. Any student who has not practiced enough will not first and foremost be able to make it. Now you tell me, because all of you have listened to the details so far. So you all understand choosing the topic 3 minutes is justified. That day only you were like, ma'am, it can take more time. It's like, no, 3 minutes is maximum that you can give, not more than that. Okay. So 3 minutes, like choosing a topic whereby if you can revisit the points, I noted it down. I'm not going to repeat it because that will take time. Again, idea generation, brainstorming, brain mapping, so many dimensions. So you realize that, oh, 2-3 minutes is going in brainstorming. Brain mapping is at least going to take 12 minutes, right? So 15 minutes was justified breakup. Similarly, introduction, it's going to create maximum impression. So you cannot go easy about it. So imagining the structure, core points that have to be written, all that can take some time, right? So in that situation, we can consider that you will take 3 minutes to 5 minutes to imagine the structure in introduction, what is the best suited type and what segments you will open, and just writing the key indicative words. It can take 3 minutes also. On a high side, it can take 5 minutes. So that's why I have written 3 to 5 minutes. That's also justified. Types of conclusion, it can also take 3 to 5 minutes. So organization of essay, you have 7 minutes minimum, and on a high side you can have 11 minutes also. Okay, 10 to 11 minutes on a high side. But the day you are actually practicing the essay, you will realize that organization can take 20 to 25 minutes. I'm preparing you beforehand. You'll realize, oh my God, yaar, which point is more important and which is less, I'm unable to determine. Yes, because there's no practice. You cannot learn or study geography or polity or economy or history within one day. You take 20-25 lectures, multiple, like, notes, books, material, then you prepare one subject like history or geography or polity. Why that restlessness for essay? Have you written 25 essays? No. So remember, your first 5 essays will be like garbage. I mean it. Don't get disappointed. Tell yourself, I've never ever written such a long essay. 1,000 to 1,200 word essay I've never written. So I will take more time. I will write very garbage language or very average kind of essay. I will think high, but I won't be able to write it. That will not be a part of my expression. And whatever I will be writing, it will not be satisfactory in terms of time, organization, content. You have to accept it first. When you accept that you have started climbing the up like hill, so initially there are rigors. First 5 essays will not be even worthy of getting it evaluated from an evaluator. Be open for that. But first 5 are like I have to do a lot of like practice, and then something meaningful will come out. After the 5th essay, you are worthy of going for an answer writing session, whereby your answer writing getting it evaluated, all that. Test, when we speak of it, after writing almost 10 essays, you will be capable of writing a test. If any of the students, suppose is from ICSE board, has power of language and articulation, has learned how to develop the skill within 2 or 3 essays, you can go ahead for it, because every child has a different possibility due to different nature of schooling, because the kind of schooling we have had in our childhood also makes a difference in the kind of language we have developed, the kind of articulation and expression that we can engage with. Okay. In the context of brainstorming, speed like light, I'm unable to match up the speed of writing. That's why I can't write down all the points. Yes, that will happen. The BNB. Practice. The more you will be writing, you'll realize handwriting doesn't matter, even if my handwriting is going crazy. A few points I'll have to write in an abbreviated fashion. If few words are getting mixed with Bangla, it's okay, chalta hai. Because it is your page. The examiner doesn't bother to have even throw an eyesight. Why? Because the examiner is paid for evaluating the core content. The examiner is not paid for evaluating rough page. So anyway, rough page is like after doing all the thing, you've written rough and you've struck it down. No one cares what you've written. If you are evaluating standard 8th or standard 5th kids copy and the child has done 1 page rough, you'll not bother to see, oh, what has the child written in rough? No, you're paid for evaluating the main paper. So you'll be like more concerned, let me see what is the core answer written by this child. And accordingly, you will be giving the remarks, right? So the same thing your examiner does. The examiner, you are the same standard 5 kid for the examiner. He or she is not bothered to see what you have done in rough. He or she is more bothered what you have created. Okay. So go ahead with that given possibility. All right. Now, as we are unfolding this given subsegment, so as we are unfolding this given subsegment, what you are supposed to do, eraser. So you are supposed to first and foremost take the component of introduction. Okay. And in the process of picking the introduction, what you can do is you can just open after like the introduction, try to identify the next 2 paras. It can come from brain mapping or it can come from like brainstorming, no problem. Okay. So suppose you are finding 1 point over here. Maybe now I should use another color so that you all can see. Okay. So like let us consider you are finding point number A over here and another segment to the point number A is here also. So you want to combine and connect. So you're writing A1, you're writing A2 and circling this so that because it's a haphazard page, no? So you have to find out and number things accordingly. So here and suppose the next issue which you want to take up is suppose this one. Okay. So introduction, you have written A, it has 2 sub-dimensions and B. So I said after introduction, identify the 2 paras. And then I said after the introduction, then identify the conclusion and the 2 paras preceding the conclusion. So just 2 paras before the conclusion, which can be the 2 issues. So like let us say you are finding this as like Z and this as Y. Okay, so like Y and Z. Now you have identified 6 paras. After this, what you are supposed to do is identify the issues in between, which one should go with what given subsegment. So like let us say you are finding that okay, this is C, this is D, this is E, this is F, this is G, this is H. Suppose this is H1, this is like suppose D2, okay, something like that. So you are getting like this is D1, something like that. So keep identifying the points. So here you will end up writing C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. Suppose N, O, P, done, dot, dot, dot. I am preferring like alphabets. You can prefer numbers also, depends on you. I prefer alphabets because A, Z, they have a sense of completion. They have a sense of start and finish. That's why I prefer alphabets. You can go for numbers also. And after you have enlisted all the points, okay, then you try to give words like introduction. See the introduction and ask yourself how many words will I take to write the sentences. So imagine, visualize the sentences. First I'll write this idea, this, and then I'll write this, and then this. So this idea will take 20 words, this can take 10 words, this can take 15 words tentatively, right? So we all can visualize a sentence just by seeing the keywords. When we mentally create the sentence, we visualize the sentence. This is going to take 15 or 12 or 50, 20, 30. We can tentatively guess the odd limit of the word, right? So just guess that. Okay, so like let's say introduction, you are thinking you are going to take suppose 80 words. First, para after the introduction, suppose you are thinking this is going to take, because two sentences are there, so with 35 words, it can swell up to 45 also. But right now you're just visualizing the sentence, giving an idea. So suppose this goes as 20. This one again, suppose is going as 50, because it's an exhaustive idea. Then this one is going 40. This one is again going 20. Like that, you're going on and on and on and on. Okay. Then calculate how many words are happening. If the total word limit, you're calculating it quickly, and then if the total word limit is 1180, it is risky. Why is it risky? Because this is a tentative word limit. While writing, sometimes we think we'll write it in two sentences, 30, 35 words. And you may end up writing in three sentences because you were struggling with the expression and you ended up using 45 words. So, such kind of swell and push can happen. If that happens, rather than 1180, the final essay may swell up to suppose 1250 or 1260. That will be a problem. It will be visible that it is little extra. So the moment you see it is 1180 or something nearby, 1185 or 1178, become conscious. Eliminate few points if you find that it is unnecessary. Okay. So just do away with one or two points. Do away with one or two examples. Suppose, okay, if it is 1020, while writing, sometimes we think we are going to take 30 words. But while writing, we can sometimes squeeze expression also, because once we revisit the points and reimagine the sentence, the power to understand the concept becomes denser. And sometimes we can give it a more gist-like expression, more crisp expression. Language can become more dense and articulate. In that situation, the 1020 is what you're expecting. You may end up writing it in 950 or 970. It will be less. So it's better that the moment you see 1020, any miscellaneous idea which you have left, because in brainstorming, brain mapping, आप खुला सोचते हो. You are just thinking and writing very freely. Okay. But when you are organizing it, you can pick and choose. You can find a point relevant and you can incorporate it. You can find a point irrelevant, you can leave it. Okay, so this is the time and space to reflect whether a point from brainstorming should be included, from brain mapping should be included. While thinking, you are letting yourself think freely. Let anything pour. But what will finally make it to my essay, in the final structure of my essay, will be reflected, thought, and can be incorporated here later. So if you are finding that the word limit is less, just add few miscellaneous points or examples which you felt it's little distant. Now you can fit it somewhere over here in between. This is the space where you can incorporate an example or two or a sentence or two. The moment you write 3-4 sentences, 40-50 words is done. Okay, so that's what. So just go for this and reducing this, as simple as that, so that you're somewhere in between. Then after doing this, finally, before writing the essay, revisit the order mentally. That first I'll write this, then I'll write this idea, then this idea, then this idea, then this, then this, then this. You will realize this can happen, that you can realize that yeah, this point, no, it's making more sense if it is written over here. No problem, do that. If you feel that, oh, this point, no, if it was rather than here, if it was written here, it would have been better. Do that final reshuffling of ideas, because now you are mentally imagining the structure of the essay thrice. Why? First, when you were reflecting upon the content. Second, when you started organizing, so visualizing it. Okay. Then when you are calculating the word limit, so subconsciously we're seeing, this point will take this word, this much word, this much word. And third, when you are organizing that, let me see how is the point flowing. So in the flow, you can sometimes, not always and not necessarily, sometimes you may get that glimpse, यार ये idea ना यहाँ नहीं यहाँ लिखेंगे तो ज़्यादा अच्छा लगेगा. Okay, या ये चीज यहाँ नहीं यहाँ लिखेंगे तो बेहतर लगेगा. That can happen. You can realize the reshuffling of this possibility. Do that, the final reshuffle. Okay, once the final reshuffling is done, you are good to go. You are good to write the final essay, the final draft of the essay. Okay, so one thing which I will request all of you towards the end is, practice kindness towards yourself. Why it's necessary to practice kindness? Sometimes we become too harsh with our own expectations. ये करना है, वो करना है, ऐसा करना है, वैसा करना है. So because of our dominating expectations, this problem sometimes emerges that we are unable to meet up. Okay, we are unable to meet up the given possibility. Okay, so it is advisable to all of you that go easy on yourself. Tell yourself that I've first time I've started writing such a huge, such a long essay in my life. I will be running short of words. There will be a possibility that your first essay is getting wrapped up by 600 words or 700 words or 900 words. You are unable to produce content worthy of 1000 or 1200 because probably you are not very thorough with the topic or thorough with GS. That can happen. No worries. Accept it. Accept that I have never ever written a GS answer more than 250 words and suddenly I'm writing 600 or 700. So I'm already taking a quantum leap. I will build up further. Okay, always encourage yourself. I will build up further. I'll catch up with it. Okay, do not be very, very tensed or serious about those tests which might be held after these classes. Okay, go easy with yourself and just see what you can create. All right. So just be kind and practice at least one essay to begin with per week. Okay, as you catch up, and remember when you're doing essay practice, no, while doing essay practice, subconsciously you're preparing the topic of GS also, no, for your mains exam, right? Any topic, suppose you're writing an essay on corruption, are you not preparing the topic of corruption thoroughly for GS paper 4, like probity in governance, or GS paper 2 in governance also you have the issue of corruption, right? So when you're writing essay, indirectly you're also practicing the content for GS. So just be confident. Why should I give a essay for practice? You'll get a formal test only, Nimai, once the lecture is over. Not one, you'll get eight topics. Okay, so all this will be put to practice. But I'm saying that take it easy. All right. So tomorrow I'll start with debatable essays. In the process of explaining debatable essays, tomorrow I'll take a prelude of philosophical essays. So maybe 2-3 topics of philosophical essays also I will introduce in the process of debatable essays. So this is it for today. I hope you learnt few important integral pieces of like I would say advices and lesson. We'll continue with this discussion tomorrow. Thank you. Have a good day.